Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's session. Welcome to International Education Week. We are very happy to have you today here, and I'm so happy that we start this week with an incredible story of one of our Education USA alumna. But first of all, I would like just to point out that Education USA Virtual is here to assist you with interesting webinars, courses, and for more information about your application, you can also find on our website your nearest Education USA centers, because our Education USA advisors can assist you in your application process for your studies in the US. So today we have Anastasia Goncharenko from Ukraine. She will share with us her success story of how she applied to Maryland Institute. And I'm so excited that she accepted our invitation, because I'm more than sure that you will get so much useful information, guys. And feel free to submit your questions. Anastasia, I will give you the floor. Just introduce maybe yourself and tell us a bit about what you're doing currently. What are you studying? What is your program about? And then we'll go on to the questions that we have prepared for you. And there are some questions that have been submitted before the start of this webinar when you guys use the registration link. So we will answer also them. Thank you once again, Anastasia. I will give you the floor.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Nastia. I'm a freshman at Maryland Institute College of Art. I'm a graphic design major, but right now we're studying just general fine arts as our first year course. And that's it.
That's it. Okay, perfect. Then we can go on to the questions that we have prepared for you, because I know that everyone would be excited to know more about how you've got into MICA and how was your experience there. And I think one of the most appropriate questions to give you first is, what made you choose MICA for your graphic design studies, and how did it stand out compared to other schools you were accepted to? Maybe you can specify to how many schools you have applied also before that, and yes, and then we can discuss the details.
Sure. I applied to about 20 universities in the US. I only applied to US, and I got accepted to 5, I think. Yeah, to 5, and I got scholarships, some scholarships in all of them, but MICA had offered me the biggest scholarship. And also I chose MICA because it's not just a university that has the Department of Arts or Design, but it's a school that specializes on arts in general. They have a ton of art-related majors and different curriculums. It is one of the best printmaking schools in the US.
Okay, perfect. So you've specified that you received the scholarship, but it was a partial one. Was there a family contribution that you've had to do, and that you've had to pay?
I have a scholarship that covers 90% of the whole tuition.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And can you say how much would that be? I mean, just to understand how much would be the tuition with all the costs that that you've had to pay, like, early for studying at MICA.
For the whole tuition for the first year was about, I think, 80,000. Because yeah, that may sound a lot, but a lot of like all art schools, like art schools especially, they are expensive, like in general. So but right now I'm paying like 90% from these 80,000. Oh, I get covered, yeah, 90% out of these 80,000. So that works fine for my family.
Okay, perfect. And considering the fact that you've had like 10 years of experience in fine arts and 4 years in graphic design, is that important currently for you when you're in America? Are you applying those skills and what are you getting like as new information from that?
Um, I could say there's a great quote that says you have to learn the rules first before breaking them, and that's pretty much how it works for me. Because I have a basic knowledge of like compositional rules and rules and of color. I work with color a lot in my projects, and I apply this knowledge I got from doing fine arts. I apply this in graphic design a lot.
Okay. And specifically, what have you done in Ukraine? And by fine arts, what we mean here? Did you do a school or were that like individual lessons? You were doing paintings and drawings, and like those 4 years in graphic design. What specifically were you doing in Ukraine?
For my fine arts, I went to an art school for 10 plus years. Uh, that's apart from regular school, like that's that was like evening classes.
An extracurricular activity, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Okay.
not instead of general like high school or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And for graphic design, I went to an IT academy, and I could say like yeah, I studied there for 4 years, but at the same time, I did like side projects to like practice my skills. So I did like commissions and so like
Okay.
studied
Perfect.
and worked at the same time.
Good, thank you. And considering the fact that the universities they do a holistic admission, and you've had such a high school GPA, and your portfolio definitely played a role in securing the admission. What did you include in your portfolio, and how much do you think was meaning the GPA and the portfolio you've had for the application you did?
For art schools, portfolio is definitely the most crucial part than other, but I can say that GPA and I'd say your personal essays are
Mm-hmm.
still very important. But I feel like what made my portfolio like special or like secured my admission, as you said, is that I presented myself as generalist in a sense that I'm equally knowledgeable in like many fields, like in fine arts and both in graphic design. Uh, whether like this knowledge is more than average, but still not completely like mastered in one field or another. Uh, like to make it more clear, I included like different works from painting, drawing, photography, typography, 3D animation, something like that.
Okay, sounds great. And how has MICA's graphic design program challenged you creatively and technically compared to your prior design experiences?
Ah,
Did you already started with that or not yet?
um, not even about graphic design, but United States schools approach is very different from Eastern European style. It gives much more freedom to explore and choose what you want to do. But at the same time, sometimes it can lack clear guidance, which was a bit confusing for me. But in general, just the schooling style is different. And yeah, as I said, you have like a lot of freedom.
And what has been the most surprising or unique part of the cultural experience studying in the U.S. as an international student? What was one of the most surprising? I think this information is pretty fresh because you've came this year, and how is everything there? Did you like the campus? Did you already make friends? I don't know if you have the chance to already start working, or if not, if it's not going to be the second semester, what is that going to be?
Yeah, of course, I could say like we have lifestyle and mindset differences, but that's not the interesting part. Um, right now, yeah, I did make a lot of friends. I'm very like I'm very good friends with my roommates, and um, regarding work, I work part time now because that's what visa allows to do. Visa does not allow to work full time. But the most interesting part that happened is that when I arrived to MICA, in this artistic community, I'm not seen as strange, like artsy individual anymore because we are all strange here. But I'm pretty much I dissolve like in the variety of vibrant styles and personalities. But on the other hand, my cultural identity became much more valuable and unique here. Being Ukrainian just became a big part of my identity, and that's what like that became like a core of my personality here.
Okay, that sounds interesting. And are you engaged in different activities on campus? Maybe you're joined some clubs, and what can be some interesting activities, especially for such an institution?
Um, for I'm very much involved for my part-time work because I work on campus in one of the departments, and I engage in making the events, especially just organizing the events on campus and making some design stuff for them, like announcements, like tickets, brochures, something like that. But I also, yeah, I joined a few clubs. Like we have sketchbook decorating club here, and that's my favorite club so far. Also, yeah, we have a pretty much like we have a lot of decent clubs here. We have like outdoors club, um, but I think I haven't been very much involved like in any clubs besides sketchbook decoration.
Okay, good. So I think the next question is going to be super logic. So, as graphic design is such a broad field, how do you see yourself specializing or finding your niche? And how do you think Michael will help you in this process? Maybe it's too early to say that, but at this moment, I think you already have a perception of what you're exactly going to do.
Yeah, that's pretty much my main question about my academics and like further career. Um, I'm not sure where to specialize yet, but I just have a few ideas, and I can say that MICA can help me with that because they have a wide range of classes of my interest, and I just plan to take classes slightly different fields than graphic design, which could either help me master in graphic design, or at the same time I can choose to go more into that particular field and make it my niche. For
Okay.
example, MICA offers marketing essential classes and other entrepreneurship classes, and they have very specific courses like visual identity systems, which is like a very niche class of graphic design, or alchemy of light as a photography class. That sounds pretty interesting.
Definitely. And given the fact that you have such a long history in fine arts, what role the traditional artistic skills that you've gained in Ukraine, like drawing or painting, played in your design work at MICA? How do you think those skills have integrated? And is it pretty different, the approach that was in Ukraine, comparing to what you are studying now?
Yeah, the approach is very different. It's much more loose and like I could say it's more contemporary. It doesn't sound very logic, but it is because most of art schools in Ukraine are like old-fashioned art schools. But here, like even with that, having just like the basic knowledge, like I mean, again, compositional rules of color or whatever it will be, it makes you like knowing already this makes you a step ahead from other students.
Okay, that's good to consider. So, so those skills that you have gained there are definitely super helpful and make you more competitive than maybe some other students, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And as an international student, what resources, support systems, maybe, or communities at MICA have been the most helpful in this transition period?
Um, I really appreciated international students info sessions that were held before my departure. Like I think it was March to July. Yeah. MICA offered a step-by-step explanation for visa application, departure, and also we had international students just like talking sessions every 2 weeks. And after my arrival, MICA offered a lot of support in terms of international education and wellness offices where you can always like find a person you can talk to if you can cope like mentally with transition and try adjusting to studying abroad. Um, I'm also staying in touch with all my admission advisors, and they're like the whole team is like they're really sweet people.
Okay, that's good to know. But I think you will have a personal counselor that can also assist you during this process of transition, right?
Yeah,
And I think that that is also very helpful to international students. They can always rely on that person, and they can get any advice they would need in this specific period. Okay, good. So I am done with my questions. We have a bunch of them from the audience. So as I've said, some of them have been addressed before the start of this webinar. And one of the question was, what should I include? What should you include in your portfolio? What can you do with your degree in the future? So maybe you can say more about what you did with your portfolio specifically. I guess it depends also on the major, right?
yeah, that's for sure. It does depend on the major, but I think about including something in your portfolio, although like for example like in my case I went for graphic design major, but I still included like my fine arts experience because I have like a great like bunch of drawings and paintings, so you can just like you don't have to include works from the field you're going for. You can include some other like side works from something that's like can be your minor or just a hobby, just to for admission counselors to understand that you have like experience in many fields or just show your very like striking art style.
Okay, that makes sense. The next question. Hello, can you draw? Because I cannot, but I want to learn on graphic design major. Is it necessary? Thanks.
uh, about Yeah, about drawing in graphic design. That is not really like necessary. I mean, I know a lot of people who are now doing graphic design, but they're not a good drawers or they never studied drawing. But it's good to know basic like rules, how lights work, how to draw like lights and shadows. Like, I mean, I mentioned again, compositional rules are important and like worth to learn them. But pretty much as long as you get like those like basic theory, you're fine with it. You don't have to be a professional drawer.
Okay, good. And another question. Did you receive feedback on your portfolio from anyone before submitting it? If so, how did it help?
Uh, I advised from uh, I got some advice from professor from AT Academy, um, but she wasn't very like familiar with this, with how you should make portfolio to U.S. universities. So she just approved like some of my works and just did not approve other. And I can't say like it was a very substantial feedback, but there is also no, for most art portfolios there is no like very clear like guideline. uh some universities just mention they want to see like a still life drawing, they want to see a landscape and a portrait, and that's all. And they required to submit like these three works and just submit like 17 others, like anything you want. So there's not a lot of like restrictions, or you can like submit whatever you want.
Okay, that's good to know. And regarding the portfolio, I think one of the last questions would be like if you included only finished works, or did you also showcase work in progress or sketches?
Yeah, for the most of my works, I don't know, 95%, I included finished works. And I just included, at that time I worked on a couple graphic design projects only. um so I included like a couple, yeah, work in progress screenshots, just to show that I'm still like improving in this field and I'm still like working on it, like even right now, even when at the moment like of applying.
Okay. Another question. Your English is quite impressive. Did you learn it in school or have you studied it somewhere else as well? Maybe here we can also specify about the English proficiency test. What test had you take and what was the score so the people will also have an understanding about this?
Actually, I'm so happy about this comment because at the very beginning I did study English at school, but it wasn't very effective, so I had to take extra classes for, I think it was for the last two, or for the last 3 years of just school. I had to take extra classes, and I was super like, I wasn't like confident about my English at all. Like speaking was always my like the worst part. Um, but I had to just in one. I think no, not in 1 year, but in half a year, I had a very like intense preparation for English proficiency test. I did IELTS, and yeah, most universities have the requirement for IELTS, like the minimum score is something between 6 to 7 out of the like 9 score say like assessment system. I got 7.5, and that worked out pretty much okay for me. But I can say, like, even though like my IELTS score was okay, but I can notice a lot of improvement after like writing all application essays and after like speaking a lot here. Yeah.
And what was the score that you had for IELTS? So you said it was 7 out of 9, right?
7.5 out of 9, and
Seven
I
out of
did
9.
take it a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
I can still see some improvement.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you were already specifying about the essay, but next question is going to be about that. Were there any unexpected requirements, like essays or interviews that were difficult to prepare for? I think those are like standard, the essays, but I don't know about the interviews. Did you had one?
Yeah, when I was learning about the application process, everyone was mentioning these interviews and they were like addressing like them a lot and emphasizing like you should prepare like for your interviews to like your essay is not like the last part of your application process. But for me at least, it wasn't true because I had out of 20 like colleges I applied to, I had 2 interviews. Yeah, to one school I got accepted to, and to one I didn't, but still, it was not like a big part.
And can you say maybe a bit about how is this interview? Who is taking this interview? How many persons would be in that?
Um, for for the school I didn't get accepted to, it was Dartmouth University. I had an alumni interview with, yeah, with one alumni, and it was like pretty much, it wasn't like a job interview. It wasn't like this at all. It was just she asked me some basic questions like, what are you working on right now? Can you like show me a couple of your like she was a graphic design major too back then, so she just asked me to show like some of my graphic design stuff, and she wasn't really like familiar with my like works or with me before, so I introduced myself, I showed some of my works, and that was pretty much it. But for the second interview, for for an art school, I had an interview with like admission counselor, and it was more serious, but still, they're very like very chill about it. They're not like very strict. Like it's like you're applying to job and like they ask you how will you benefit our company. They're more like, I don't know, like easygoing. They just ask about like your art, maybe like some what ideas like do you have for like, or what concepts do you have in your art. How's I don't remember exactly, but probably he even just asked like how are you doing, like how's it going like in your city, like in Ukraine right now, to just like ask some like regular life questions.
Okay, good. So it's not an interview that should be really worried about, even though everyone is saying that you need to be super prepared. But of course, you need to be prepared for it. Of course, we are not saying
Yeah.
that you shouldn't, but yeah, you should be conscious about the fact that it's not a job interview, right? Okay. The other question also regarding about essays. Did you write your personal statement or artist statement? Do you have tips for that?
uh I don't have like artist statements artist statement as you know it. I just had my essays and for the most art colleges I applied to, apart from personal essay, they required like art related essays. Like, for example, a popular question was about like explaining the concept of your art. But that's pretty much similar to artist statement. um, I don't have like any specific tips. I just wrote what I had in my mind. It's just why I don't have any tips, because it's very different for everyone, and it's very personal.
For sure, and it depends on the statement. It depends on the topic that you are touching in your personal statement. I think that would be for a regular essay also. A thing that I wanted to ask, and I want to double check with you: did you apply like separately on the platform of the universities, or did you do that through Common App, like a regular application? How was it in your case?
Yeah. So because I applied to art schools, my application like had two parts where I did regular part in Common App, like
Mm-hmm.
everything you do, and for portfolio, most universities had like platform slide called Slide Room, and there you could like submit your like artist statement and all the works, and that's pretty much where it gets like very different for each university. Each university has like its system and like requirements, and it's not as universal like in Common App, where you do like everything like all the same for each university.
That's good to know. Okay, good. So we have three more questions, and all of them come from from one person, from Sofia. So she was asking here about your Instagram page. I don't know if you want to share that. We
Yeah,
can
I think
maybe, yeah,
just write nickname probably.
yeah, you can write that in the comments. Then the other question from Sofia was: have you taken some tests like SAT, and did you pass the MIT?
Wait,
I'm not
what
really
was
sure
that
what
again?
MMT means.
Oh, it's the just like Ukrainian exam,
Okay,
like
good.
finals.
Okay, and mhm,
Yeah, I did take SAT twice because for the first time I was really not satisfied with my result. Um, I don't remember. Yeah, for the first time I got 1,300, and for the second time it was, I think it was with 1,400 something, like 50, 70, something like that.
much
Um,
better.
yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a low score, definitely. Someone would struggle to have like 1,200. So yeah, I think you were really excelling. It's a
Um,
huge difference.
I studied like I did math a lot in high school, so I kind of like for the first time I expected the score to be higher, but it was very difficult in terms of like the exam is just very like fast paced, and I did not have time to read the questions like in English. That was like the hardest part for me, and I took SAT back in first one I took a year ago, exactly a year ago, and then I took my second one in March, I think. Yeah, and after this, like later in June, like the same year, I took NMT test, and it wasn't like I didn't really prepare for it because at the same time when all like Ukrainian students were busy with preparing for the test, I was busy with getting my visa for US college because I already got accepted, and I was literally arranging my departure flight.
Okay, it makes sense. But I mean, I think you were lucky and you had sufficient skills to pass it, even the
Yeah.
second time so good. So yeah, but guys, you definitely need to prepare for that. I think I would definitely recommend you to take a sample. So we have a lot of webinars on our YouTube page dedicated to SAT in case if you want to start your preparation process.
Oh,
So yeah.
for SAT, I did prepare a lot. I did have
Mhm.
like I had to study like how math is done in US schools. It's a different system. I had to learn all the like terms and the concepts and how like it's done. It's pretty much different. I had to prepare for SAT a lot, but not for NMT.
Okay, good. Got it. Did you make something like CV for college?
Um yeah, but it was specifically art CV where I mentioned like my projects and part-time jobs over two, 3 years, something like that. Just to show our college that I not only studied a lot, but I also have like some experience working like in real life, like in real life conditions, like having a real like graphic design job. So yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So you did had a graphic design job because you were saying that you did that like on course, but how what was that specifically? Were you working like part-time and what you're were you doing like doing some projects or
Yeah, I worked with I did like a couple projects, but mostly I did from like my best experience with working in a graphic design team for cybersecurity company, and yeah, all my jobs were part time, and also I did like a couple commissions or on branding, like identity, like designing the logo and or like brand book, something like that.
Okay, that's good to know. I think this experience also is very is very crucial for the portfolio and especially for admission commission and for the application and overall. Okay, so we are done with all the questions. Thank you, Nastya, for answering all of them. Those were really detailed and super practical answers. I really hope that our audience will use all your advices and your experience. I want to thank you guys for being today with us in the webinar. Okay, so we have here a comment from Sophia. You are so cool. Thank you. I agree with Sophia. You are very cool. You are very radiant and very solar, as your nickname in Instagram. I really hope you'll have more followers, and that will help you to increase your page. Thank you so much for participating in our webinar. Thank you guys for joining our today's webinar. Sign up for all the rest of them that we have for the rest of this week. We have another one, an interesting one tomorrow with Columbia University. Thank you so much. Address your question in advance. You can use the registration link, and that link allows you to register for all the webinars. You will also get from us reminders about the agenda for every day. Thank you. Have a great night. Thank you, Nastya, and have a great day ahead because it's morning for you. And good luck.
Thank you very much, you too.